Hi, and welcome to Conversations with B'nai B'rith International. I'm CEO Dan Mariaschin. Thank you for being with us today. If you enjoy our conversations, make sure you never miss a program by subscribing to the B'nai B'rith YouTube channel and liking us on Facebook. And be sure to visit our website, b'naibrith.org, to learn more about our work across the globe. Well, just 72 hours after the Surfside, Florida condo collapse in June, an emergency search and rescue team from the Israel Defense Forces Home Front Command landed in Miami to help the rescue effort from the Champlain Towers building in the Miami suburb. That IDF National Rescue Unit worked around the clock to help find survivors and making every effort to save human lives. Leading that effort was Colonel Golan Vach, commander of the Special IDF Unit. Colonel Vach is here today to discuss his experiences leading what he called one of the most difficult search and rescue missions that he's ever seen, one of the most emotional, that unfolded over several weeks after the tragic collapse. Colonel Vach is a senior reserve officer in the IDF Home Front Command. B'nai B'rith has a rich history providing humanitarian efforts around the world and highlighting the extraordinary work of others. And that's why we're glad to have Colonel Vach here with us today. Colonel, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good evening.
Well, the first question is describe for us the IDF's search and rescue unit that you lead. And what are its responsibilities? And is it made up of active duty soldiers and those who are in the reserves? What is the mix of this group?
Okay, so I'm the commander for about 4.5 years, but I've been participated in ISR-1, our unit, operation since 2010, Haiti earthquake, as you all will remember. We are consist of 500 men and women, all reservists, that divide to 3 companies and 1 logistics company. We are on alert for 24/7, 2 operations inside Israel. Our name in Hebrew is Yechidat Achilutz Ha'artzi, the National Search and Rescue Unit, but I thank God that we had no many major disasters in Israel, so our many expertise comes from overseas operations.
So what kind of training does the special unit receive? And how do you prepare for foreign assignments and operations like the one in Surfside? Because you don't really have 3 weeks to prepare. You don't have 6 months to prepare. The tragedy occurs and you've got to be out the door. So how does that training work? And then when you get the call, what happens after that?
So our name is ISR-1, which means we are the special unit, the national special unit in Israel. We got the most and the highest level of training over the years. So we are training for those incidents, for those events, almost every week, which means we are having conversations, we study, we analyze, we teach, we train our soldiers, our officers, we develop our branches, our departments. So when an event occurs, we are ready to go. In 6 hours, we should be on the plane to everywhere on the world. We use the Israeli IDF. The IDF technologies and capabilities, we are different than other search and rescues units all over the world, because most of them are civil units, and we are relying on IDF resources. So when I say we train, we are training with IDF capabilities, and we also have the opportunity to choose every national resource that we want. And when you say Israel, when you say IDF, we are talking about high tech, we are talking about dedication, we are talking about experience, and we have it all in our unit.
So how did it work when the collapse occurred in Florida? Who reached out, and how did you make that decision to get everybody together and move to the Surfside site?
So first of all, we know, we observe each one of the events, national, worldwide events, in a seconds. We are well connected because of IDF intelligence department to all the events, the disasters all over the world. So we knew about the collapse a few minutes after it happened. And I called my general. It all starts in my unit, but sometimes it comes from the country that affected, that it sends a request for assistance. But in this case, as such as many other cases, we are offering help. So I talked to my general, Ori Gordon, the Home Front Command commander, and I told him that I think that although it happened in United States, and of course that this huge empire does not need our help, I suggest us to prepare an experts delegation, because there are Jewish involved, and I think that although they do not need us, they will ask for our assistance. And it happened. After 48 hours, they sent a request. They wanted us to come.
Well, unfortunately and tragically, Israel has had its experience, particularly with terrorist incidents and other situations, which has forced you and your colleagues to have to learn how to deal with the effects of these incidents. In the case of Surfside, I'm sure that you brought this expertise, this special expertise, with you to be value added to the effort that state and local and federal officials were engaged in on the ground. So tell us about some of those special assets that you bring to a situation like this.
So first of all, I had only 10 people to bring with me. It's a little tricky because you have to gather all your capabilities in 10 people. So as you already know, I brought my best people, my best experts in 3 different fields of expertise. The first field is the intelligence. We have to know where are the people located, trapped in the building. So to enable to dig and to reach those people fast, we must know where are they. The second capability is the engineers. After you know from the families, from the relatives, from all the data that you gathered in your back office, also in Israel, where and who are we looking for, you must know on the pile, where are you standing? Okay, is it a ceiling? Is it a floor? Is it a wall? On which floor are you standing on? So the engineers are responsible to locate us at the precise place that we should work, we should dig. Okay, and the third one is, of course, search and rescue experts, because Israelis, we do not arrive only to consult. We came to work with dirt our shoes in any operation. It's the only way that you can gain the commitment, the respect from the local teams, that you are not a consultant that right from Israel and you know best. So we are working with you shoulder to shoulder. We are on the same level, okay? So right now, when we had the respect from the local teams, local commanders, we could also give some advices, some consultant to which is the right place to dig.
So let's talk about that. What was it like? We watch this on TV. I think it's very hard for those of us who were not on the scene to really understand how many people are involved in this kind of rescue effort. What was it like working shoulder to shoulder with the local and Florida state officials, federal officials who were there? How does that work? You get together first thing in the morning. I know you're working around the clock, but how do you gather to go over what you're going to do that day? What's the protocol?
There is no protocol. Each incident is different, and we must be very flexible and to adapt our methodology to the needs on the ground. When we arrive, we have 2-3 main concepts, principles. The first one is I, as a commander, I'm on the pile. I'm not going to sleep. I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to drink. I'll be with you people for 20 hours a day until I understand exactly what is the problem. So the first thing that we bring with us is dedication. On the pile, there were each shift 160 high-level responders from the best units in the United States. If you want to earn your money, you have to be on the pile, and you have to work, and you have to sweat with them, and you have to understand better than them what exactly is going on. So we decided to stay around the clock and to see both shifts, because they were replaced every 12 hours. And we understood that we can deliver some of the information, of the intelligence that had been gathered in the first shift to the second one. So we were the chain that delivered some of the intelligence from one shift to another. So this is one principle, I would say the constant working around the clock. The second one is that we are using well-approved methodology of intelligence. I must say in advance, the local teams have made almost 90% of the work in Surfside. We brought to the table our capabilities. We didn't save the world, okay? We were only 10 people of 120 each shift, okay? So I would say it, I would emphasize it again, not to be mentioned as one who saved the world and saved America. We didn't. Okay, so after I said that, the first thing is the dedication. The second one is the intelligence. And the third one is the contact, the connection with the families. We were the chain from between the work on site, the accurate picture to the families. From the families, we gathered, we collected all the information that needed to work on the right place. And second, we brought the intelligence, the big picture from the pile to the families. They needed it. So it was heartbreaking to work on days on the pile and to know exactly who are you looking for. And when you find it, you find him, you pull him out. And it is not easy. You know, the people that buried under the rubble for 4, 5, 6, 12, 14 days in bad condition, that bad situation, and to see the families at the evening and to know that you found their loved ones, and you cannot say, you are not allowed to share that you have just found them, because we are waiting for the forensic examination.
Well, well, earlier this month, 15 firefighters that you worked shoulder to shoulder with in Surfside came to Israel for 5 days. Tell us about that visit, because we were talking about you're being part of this group of 160 people. I would imagine over a period of days, that bonding occurs with the people that you're on the pile with. So tell us about that visit to Israel by the firefighters.
So, as you said, 2 weeks ago, this visit in Israel of 15 most prominent leaders of the search and rescue teams from Task Force 1 and 2 Florida and Virginia and Ohio and many others arrived to Israel. They arrived because we invited them. And the community that helped us, that supported this visit, was the Surfside community, the Shul, Rebbe Lipsker. They came after the operation and asked me, what do I want as I don't know, as a reward, as a gift for my unit, for myself, for the operation. I said, hey,
as a thank you.
Yeah, for thank you. And I said that I'm a soldier. I did my job, but it was so difficult for us, for all of us, to see ourselves in this situation that I had an idea to invite those local commanders to Israel, because for me it was the opposite from that situation, to work on 1 a.m. on a dead man with those people. I personally pulled out more than 60 people, men, women, children. And I saw the American commanders. And after so many people that we extracted, we felt like brothers. And it was almost my last day on the pile, and said, it could not end like this. It could not end like this, because I believe in God. And I thought that God brought us together, bonded us together, not only to bury those people, but also to establish something new, something solid between the Israeli and the American governments, not less than that. So they arrived, and we had a summary, professional summary briefing for the operation. In our methodology, it was very fruitful for us. We taught a lot. We taught them our concept, and we found out that we have many things to promote together. So 3-4 days after the visit in Israel, I visited in the county mayor office, Daniela Cava, of course, Miami-Dade mayor, and I handed my general proclamation to establish those relationship between Israel and, in the beginning, Miami-Dade, and she wanted us to take it to the highest level, to the federal forces, to share this experience.
And so when they were in Israel, so what did you do over the course of 5 days, in addition to the professional consultations? Did they have a chance to see the country? Were they largely in one area?
We had the chance to see the country, and I did my best that the memories that they will have from this moment on Surfside, when we say the word Surfside, is not death, sorrow, rain, tears. We cried a lot. There will be the sun, the views, the landscapes from Masada, from Jerusalem, from the Galilee, from Nazareth, from I took them to my, it will sound weird, I took them to my grandmother's grave. And I told them my personal story as a grandson of a woman that survived Auschwitz. So we were standing on the Mount of Olives. We saw we saw Jerusalem, and I said, I didn't tell them that it's my grandmother's grave. I just told them a story of a woman who passed, who over that she was in Auschwitz, and she overwent medical experiments, and she couldn't have birth. And after 3 years, she had birth of one child.
Whoa.
And this is my father. And so we are standing here, and this is Israel. We don't have any other place to go to. And we must fight for our country. We must be strong. We must use best intelligence. We must be dedicated. Everything that you saw on the pile comes from that woman that lying here with her husband.
Well, you know, we're talking here in the middle of Hanukkah, and which is a festival of a miracle, and the story that you've just told about your grandmother is in that category of miracles, and we should note it, especially on Hanukkah. Colonel, I want to ask you just a couple more questions. How has COVID-19 impacted your ability to work in foreign countries? And how, as you look ahead, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and it could be that you'll be called out of the country tomorrow. Is that part of the calculus that you now are bringing in to the work that you do?
Mm-hmm. So first of all, we are all vaccinated. We got the booster. We are the first to get the booster, and we are not allowed to deploy overseas without the booster. So this is the first thing. It's the thing that it's about us. Okay. The other thing is that we have to consider the affected country. For example, exactly 12 months ago, we operated in Honduras, and Honduras in the same time was red country, as we call it, red country. High level of COVID-19. So it took us several hours of preparation to get the authorization from our government, from their government. But to answer your question, it does not affect us. It just takes us a few more hours to get prepared, but we are not considering COVID-19.
On the flip side of things, you recently returned to Surfside for a brief visit. What was it like being back, and how were you received when you went there?
It was difficult. For me, the Champlain Tower will always remain as a place of sadness, as a place, you know, I said I believe in God, but there are some places, some points that I don't understand him. So when I stand next to the hole that used to be a pile, that used to be a building with dozens of people, live people inside, I don't believe God. I don't understand God. Sorry, I don't understand him, but I still believe in him, and it's okay for me to visit these places from time to time to remind myself that I do not understand everything. And it was difficult for me to stand there, but the community, of course, was more than grateful for us not me as personally, but to represent the state of Israel, IDF. And she hugged us warmly and she invited us to arrive. I will be in Surfside in 8 days from now. And they asked me to detail for them all the operation, all the aspects, all the angles of the operation. And I will be in a IAC conference in Miami. So they invited me again to the shul to give this presentation to the community.
Well, you'll certainly always be a part of Surfside, you and your colleagues who went on this humanitarian mission. The highest calling that one can have is to aid others in distress, and in this particular case, this tragic collapse. In terms of thank yous, I know that we presented you in Israel with a certificate which showed our profound appreciation for your courageous dedication, you and your unit, to the victims of the Surfside tragedy. You and your team went into a tremendously difficult situation with just a moment's notice and did everything you could to reunite families. And for that, from B'nai B'rith, you have our deepest gratitude.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. On behalf of Home Front Command, I talked to my general before this conversation, and he sent his regards, and he's grateful for you, for your organization, and of course, on behalf of the members of the delegation. You know that when you highlight things, and you chose to highlight this operation, you declare something. And what is your declaration as an organization? I think that that you choose to declare or to highlight the connection between the state of Israel and the Jewish communities abroad, and not only that, in above, the connections between the state of Israel and saving life worldwide. And I think it's a great thing, and I thank you for that, because it's true.
Well, you know, with all of the difficulties that Israel has, and the difficult, very difficult and dangerous neighborhood in which you live, and you have so many security considerations that the IDF has to factor into its work, and to have this special unit that can be dispatched abroad to help others in other countries like this at a moment's notice with these terrible tragedies says a great deal about the IDF, and it says a great deal about the Israeli people and the state of Israel. And for that, really, we're truly grateful. So, Colonel, thank you for your extraordinary leadership under extremely difficult circumstances, and for being with us here today. This is truly an example of the unbreakable alliance, the unshakable alliance between the United States and Israel. It's been great speaking with you.
Thank you very much, Dan, and Chanukah Sameach to all of you.
Chanukah Sameach. Well, I want to thank my colleague, Alan Schneider, who directs the B'nai B'rith World Center in Jerusalem, for his role in making this interview happen for many years. Alan has led BBI's global humanitarian efforts, and we thank him for that. And thanks again to Colonel Golan Vach for joining us, and of course to you, our viewers, thank you for tuning in. Now, if you enjoyed this conversation, make sure you subscribe to the B'nai B'rith YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And be sure to visit our website, bnaibrith.org, to learn more about our important work. For my guest, Colonel Golan Vach, and for B'nai B'rith, I'm Dan Mariaschin. See you again soon.